I've I've decided to put this onto YouTube rather than SoundCloud. It's quite an important message, and it's quite an important statement that needs to be said. I've been outside in the garden digging, well, not digging, but actually planting, because I don't dig, and working very hard. And I've come in and had a couple of glasses of water, opened up the laptop, and there was a message there. And it was a message from one of the thousands of people who subscribe to beltonacottage.com. And it's not the first message of its kind, and I know for certain it won't be the last. This person, I don't want to say the name, but you know who you are in a way. She tells me that, first of all, she doesn't know where to start. She has just listened to the podcast on SoundCloud, which is entitled "In the End, There Is Only Love." And she says that she's felt a very deep yearning in her heart that would not go away, wouldn't be silenced, that she feels that Mother Earth is reaching out to her, and her emotions are all over the place. She's basically reiterating what happened to me 12 years ago when I came here. Didn't happen suddenly, it happened quite slowly, because I am an immensely practical woman. I am very down to earth, or at least I used to be. I suppose I still am, but I certainly dismissed any feelings or emotions I may have experienced initially in working with the earth here. Round about 2008, 2009, so that would have been 4 or even 5 years into what I now call the Beltona project, I began to experience, recognisably so, very, very deep emotions. Emotions that would see me spontaneously burst into tears. Always when I was outside, or looking out the window to the outside. And I realised that there was an incredible force at work and at play here at Beltona. Not just at Beltona, all over the world. All over the world. And my mother, before she died, because we often had conversations about these issues of which we barely knew or conceived or understood, but we were trying to tease out some kind of understanding about the world in which we lived. And every conversation came back down to this deep emotional connection that so many of us, more and more people, are experiencing. This deep emotional connection to the earth as a living, sentient being. When I started to write the blog that is beltonacottage.com, I continually tried to listen and to channel the feelings coming from the earth. They're not words. This isn't some kind of, patriarchal thing about, oh, look how important I am, God is speaking to me. I rarely put my face out there on social media. My face, my person, is not important. I'm not eager to become famous or even well known. And which is why I continually refer to Beltona Cottage, not Colette O'Neill. Beltona Cottage represents 3 acres of Mother Earth where incredible things have happened. Incredible things that people cannot explain. I'm looking out this window on the north side of the cottage. I feel very emotional because I'm looking out at all this beauty and nobody can explain how all this has happened. Oh yes, there'll always be the sarcastic little twit somewhere who will leave a message saying, well, I'll tell you what's happened, you planted trees. Look at what's growing in this barren land on a north-facing, wet, marshy, rushy slope in the west of Ireland. But anyway, look, back to what? See, Jack's listening. Back to what I was trying to say. What I'm trying to say is actually quite simple now. I'm just going to simplify it out, okay? I try to channel in some small way words to express the feelings I am getting from Mother Earth. So in many ways they are not my words because they don't apply to me. They're from the earth, okay? There are not enough words to express those feelings. In fact, we are emotionally illiterate. That's what we are. When it comes to connecting to Mother Earth and trying to be a part of her, we are emotionally illiterate. Two years ago, I wrote a blog. And the blog is entitled In a Time of Apocalypse. Now, the reason why I wrote the blog was because patriarchal religions, not just one but many, have taken and used fear as a way of getting people on board, as a way of, getting them into religions. Well, I don't do that anymore. I used to. I was once a very dedicated churchgoer. None of that makes sense to me now. I don't know what's happened. Or I don't know what's happened. I haven't had any bad experiences and said, oh, I'm not going to church anymore. It just became irrelevant. And I began looking at words to express what has happened to me. And one of those words came up in the most strange way. Now, I've been to university. I studied English literature and language. So I'm fairly au fait with language and how to use it. And I always assumed that the word apocalypse meant something dreadful. I mean, so does Hollywood. You know, you have Apocalypse Now or whatever the movie was called. But the word apocalypse, and especially in biblical terms, coming in the book of Revelations, meant something awful. Well, actually it doesn't. It does not. Apocalypse is from the Greek, and it means full disclosure of all the truth of what was, is, and will be. So it's about truth, okay? It's not about something dreadful. And I'm just looking down through this blog, reminding myself of what I wrote. And I wrote, most of us are aware of the biblical connotations of the word apocalypse, but few know that the word predates both the Old and New Testament of the Bible and is actually from ancient Greek. Okay. This is me tapping my laptop, so bear with me. The verb form of the Greek means simply uncover, and the word is often used in a basic physical sense for uncovering the head or body, or, as in the Bible, metaphorically, for the disclosure of a hidden water source or a hidden wrong. Okay. So I think the Bible uses it as a kind of a metaphor, but anyway, a hidden water source or a hidden wrong. So it's fascinating, really. Very few people know that the original Greek translation of apocalypse means lifting off the veil or revelation. A disclosure of something hidden from the majority of mankind in an era dominated by falsehood and misconception. That's food for thought, isn't it? For most of my life, looking back now, I recognise that my day-to-day life was dominated by falsehood and misconception. And all the time, what I should have had at the forefront of all considerations at all time, i.e. Mother Earth, was just something I walked on. It was something where I planted vegetables that grew. You know, this massive, massive, massive disconnection. The veil hides the truth from mankind. We're actually living in a time of apocalypse where the truth is being revealed to us in a kind of accumulative way, you know, little by little, hour by hour, day by day. And in the case of the woman who wrote to me this morning in an email, that has accumulated. That's kind of backed up behind her. And suddenly it's sprung her forward. And she's had a revelation. And again, not in the biblical sense, you know. More of a real, in real time happening. Because when you look out there, you see, that is reality. That's the truth. Out there is the heaven that we create, or the hell that we allow. There are layers of misconception and deception which are being peeled back, slowly allowing the veil to be lifted. For many people, this is a fearful experience, and they try to shield themselves from the reality being revealed to them. I've also had emails from people who've said, you know, don't you believe in God? Why do you keep talking about Mother Earth? Why do you keep talking about the goddess? Well, you know what? I talk about what I know. I write from the heart. I write about what I know. I experience the world around me. I'm not paying any heed at all to stories. I've never been one for anecdotal evidence. I like to make up my own mind on people, on issues, on life. And if speaking from the heart is too much for you to bear, then I don't despise you or misunderstand you. I just see you as being on your own sacred journey. And it was wonderful to hear from someone this morning who has reached a point in their life that I've been there. I understand that point. I understand how it feels. And you know, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to fear. Everything is understandable. And also, you know, for those whose courage doesn't fail them, because you do need to have courage to question your life, to question your belief systems, to question what you've been taught to be right and wrong. But for those whose courage doesn't fail them, the lifting of the veil, the apocalypse, is an epiphany. It's an awakening of immense reassurance. It certainly was for me. Because you know the old saying, the truth will set you free. Well, my God, it does set you free. And you know, also, I've got to just change this now. This one hand's gone to sleep almost, holding this little camera. But also, you know, the truth is both a shield and a comfort in the times we are evolving through. There is a hugely what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I'll say that there is a very fast evolution happening now, okay? And it's happening in the minds of people. Everything is changing. There's huge changes underway. You know, even the most insensitive person is aware of these changes happening around them. But the apocalypse represents the revealing of the truth and allows you to have an awareness of the true nature of everything. In a time of illusion and cover-up, most of my life has been illusion and cover-up. Apocalypse is to be welcomed. So, another drink of my water here. I feel suitably refreshed. I'm just looking around for my shoes now. I'm just going to walk around a little bit. And you know, those of you who've tuned into this video today and stuck with it, as it was just focusing on one window in the cottage and what lay outside. But those of you who've tuned in and listened, if you're in any doubt at all as to what earth magic is, as magic is a word that tries to explain the inexplicable, okay? But for you to understand what this is about, go onto the website and look at the pictures which are in on a page listed at the top right hand corner of the website, and it would be something, trying to remember the title, Before Permaculture, the Transformation. But there are pictures there of what this place looked like 12 years ago. And as I've said before, I'm the only person who's ever worked here. And apart from the guy with the digger, John, who came in the early months of 2004, 2005. No, sorry, the late months of 2004. There's been no one here. There's been no one here helping, planting. Everything has been physically done by me. I've planted, I've tended, as well as doing a lot of other things. So, if you have any explanation for this, if you can explain what's happened here, there's been no chemicals, there's been nothing imported, it's all just come from planting. In most cases actually not planting, in most cases taking something that's been cut and sticking it into the ground. So I don't know. Perhaps you'll come up with some kind of a rational explanation. Perhaps you will. For my part, there's nothing rational about what's happened here. For my part, I believe that the earth is in dire straits regarding the human race. And the earth is actually speaking to us, and she's showing us the power that's there beneath your feet. The power that's there. Massive amount of healing and regeneration. Massive amount of love and tolerance and understanding. And I think what's happened at Belton Cottage is that Mother Earth has sped everything up. Everything has been sped up to show people, to show everyone that, look, there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of possibilities. We just have to act. We have to act. we have to stop being or stop feeling helpless and start doing. Look at all those black currants. Let's just walk down through the fairy wood before I switch this off. Jack? Oh, there's the poppies out in the tunnel. And there's the bees all round the flowers on the kale. Look, pollinating. Going to be a lot of seeds. That's the only thing that I make year on year. Look, it's compost. It's easy enough. Don't even turn it. I just pile it up. Pile it up and let Mother Earth do the rest. Look at this. Look at this crazy 3 acres. It's joyful. It's joyful. It's singing. It's singing. How can it be? Magic. That's why I call the site on Facebook the Magical Gardens. It's just magical. You know, 12 years ago there wasn't a fern down here. There was not one fern. I'm surrounded by them now. I'm going down these old steps I made. You know, the ground feels so lovely underfoot because it's all natural mulch. Look, I'll show you. Look at that beautiful little orchid. And what do you say, these absolutely exquisite little violets. Look at that. Look at the biodiversity. I mean, I don't know what I mean. Just lost for words sometime. Just lost for words. There's more orchids, look. And ferns, all kinds of ferns, different kinds of ferns. Look at this one. And then look at that one. See, different leaves. Little bird's nest ferns as well. Regeneration. Such hope. Such hope. And I'm continually trying to figure out the reason, you know. The reason for all this. I'm coming to believe, because it makes sense, more and more, that there are so many other dimensions, actual physical dimensions around us. And in those physical dimensions, there are beings. There are beings at work and at play. There's ferns even growing at the base of trees now. I wished for ferns. I believe in angels. I believe in fairies. I think there's a lot more. There's a lot more to all this. I wish we weren't so bloody arrogant. As a species, we're full of arrogance and hubris. We think we know everything. We know nothing. We know nothing. Really and truly. So this has been something of a reflective video. But I've said things that needed to be said, you know. I've gone past the point of caring whether people think this is strange or not. Perhaps if I felt more of a sense of immortality, I'd be arrogant. Maybe that's why so many powerful people are arrogant and treat the earth the way they do. Politicians and leaders and, you know, people who rise to the surface. Because that's how they're, I was going to say programmed. People aren't programmed. That's how they choose to be. They don't have any sense of humility towards Mother Earth. Jack knows I'm talking very deeply about stuff. He senses it, you see. Normally when I look at him like this, he'd wag his tail. So, I shall go back up to the cottage and load this video up. My wish for Belton Cottage is that people all over the world get a sense of what lies beneath